I'm your host, Joaquin, and this is the Football Corner reporting on the 2026 World Cup. Today, I'll be giving you a recap on the 6th match day of this World Cup. I was actually at the stadium for the first game of this match day when France beat Senegal 3-1. In the first half, France lacked a bit of creativity, and it was actually Senegal who had the better first half. They did very well on the counterattack with some long passes, and they almost scored twice. Once when Jackson hit the post with a nice strike, and the other time was right before the first half ended, when Ismaila Sarr had a shot right in front of goal, but it went slightly over the bar. However, in the second half, Senegal's defense got a bit tired and France just completely ran away with it. Olise switched more to a function where he played in the middle, and he gives so many good passes, especially to Mbappe, who scored 2 goals from Olise's 2 assists. Barcola and the other French subs came in well, and Barcola even scored once, which actually surprised me because when I saw him bearing down on goal, I thought, oh, it's Barcola, he doesn't have great finishing. But apparently he did something to fix that because he had a wonderful chip over Mendy. And on the topic of Mendy was actually great this game. He made 2 great saves, one on Olise shot and one on Mbappe shot, but France just did so well that he got overwhelmed and he couldn't do anything to stop it. On the other end of France's team, I think Maignan really needs to improve because on Senegal's only goal, I think it was partially Maignan's fault because he kind of hit it into the back of his own net, and then in the dying minutes, when Theo Hernandez almost scored an own goal, Maignan almost let it in, but he saved it on the line. So I think Maignan was a little shaky to start the World Cup. In the next game of this match day, Norway beat Iraq 4-1. This scoreline didn't really tell the whole story of the game though, because Iraq did quite well on the attack, but they just couldn't finish off their chances. And on the defensive side, it was Iraq who brought their own downfall by playing out the back repeatedly and making mistake after mistake after mistake. This has been such a common theme in the World Cup, of teams insisting on playing out the back and getting punished from it. Iraq should learn their lesson, and next game they should try a different approach because playing out the back costed them some important points. And for Norway, Haaland did play great as always, but I feel like the attackers around him could have played a little better because let's say if Haaland's having an off day, which I know is rare but it's always possible, the attackers around him need to be at the top of their game. And Sorloth didn't really seem like he was up to the task today. Hopefully he'll get better next game though because he's a pretty good player. And on the defense for Norway, I think they had a little bit of some lapses of concentration, especially when they were defending set pieces. They're great on attacking corners and scoring goals from that on the other end of the pitch, but defending, their marking seemed a bit strange, and they always seem to leave an Iraq player open, especially Hussein, who scored Iraq's only goal. In the third game of this matchday, Argentina, unfortunately, beat Algeria 3-0 with a hat-trick from Messi. When we were going into this World Cup, I was thinking, oh, Argentina won't be too well this World Cup. Messi's already old. And in the first game, he does this, equaling the record for most goals scored in World Cups of all time, with Miroslav Klose with 16 and Messi's now at 16 goals as well. However, there was some controversy at the beginning of the game. After Argentina went up 1-0, Messi had a studs-up challenge on an Algerian defender that the referee didn't even look at VAR and didn't even give a yellow card for. However, I think if it was the other way, if it was the Algerian defender having that challenge on Messi, a red card would have been brandished immediately. So I think there was a little bit of bias there towards Messi. But at the same time, that's not the only reason that Algeria lost, because they were just completely off their game today. The only times that they got through Argentina's defense was when Argentina had some individual slip-ups, but even then, Algeria still couldn't register a single shot on target for the whole game. And on the other hand, Lucas Zidane, their goalkeeper, did not play well at all. 2 of the goals that Messi scored, I think it was completely Zidane's fault. Because on the first goal, the ball touched both of his hands and still went in. So he kind of got some weak hands to it. In Portuguese, we would call it like mão de alface, which is lettuce hands. So the ball went really easily through his hands and into the goal. And in on Messi's second goal, Zidane got a shot in the middle of the goal, but then he spilled it right into Messi's path. But the thing is, we can't just blame him. Algeria's whole team was playing a little badly. In the last game that we had this match day, Austria beat Jordan 3-1. And just like the Iraq-Norway game, I don't think this scoreline really represented how the game went. Especially in the first half, Austria lacked a lot of creativity outside from a magic moment from Schmidt, with a great shot from outside of the box. And Jordan was always on the attack, creating chances and being quick, being direct. But unfortunately, they just couldn't finish it, except for the great 0-1 shot. But just like Iraq, another thing that's similar to Iraq that Jordan had was their passing out the back. Again, several times at the World Cup this has happened. A team just keeps insisting on playing out the back, and they never get rewarded for it. Jordan got punished for it, just like Iraq, and it was a dumb way to lose points. For Austria, I think the only reason that they won this game was when their top scorer, Arnautovic, came on in the second half. He completely brought that spark. He was the one who was in the mixer for Jordan's own goal. He was the one who tried to head the ball but couldn't really get to it, but then the Jordan defender unfortunately put it into his own goal. And Arnautovic was also the one who scored the penalty, and he's the one who kicked the ball into the Jordan player's hand to get the penalty. So he was just the difference maker in that Austrian attack. And not only did he play well, but he made the people around him better. The player that I wanted more from Austria was Konrad Leimer. I know he was playing a bit out of position, but I know how well he can play, and he just wasn't up to that standard today. So that's it for today. What game are you most excited for tomorrow? Drop your answer down below in the comments. Ciao!